going to stick with him as well. But Jim Carafano from the Heritage Foundation joins us as well. And we welcome you. And I wonder if you could tell our viewers how you make sense of this remarkable development tonight.
Yeah, well, first of all, breaking news. There's no doorbell on a 737. So, you know, and I've flown out of that terminal before. It's so historic. If you think of the people that have been through there, either coming or arriving, it is
presidents and kings and
the events that have happened on that tarmac. It's pretty remarkable. You know,
that's
I think
where the Pope came in when he visited the United States a couple of years ago.
You know, it is maybe one of the most, from an international perspective, kind of ground zero for America touching the rest of the world. So it's a pretty profound moment, and this will be at the top of the list.
So,
right?
But make sense though of what this means in the sweep of history. I know it's early, but this is not happening in a vacuum. This is happening a day or two after the President of the United States pulled the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal. This is happening a couple of weeks before he welcomes the President of South Korea to the White House, I believe May 22nd, in order to set the table for what we think is an early June summit between the President of the United States and the dictator in North Korea.
Right. So first of all, okay, let's not do an end zone dance, right? And let's not dust off the shelf there to put the Nobel Prize, right? But what this does prove, and it's very remarkable, and what a lot of us actually said from day one, the notion that somehow that the North Korea situation was on an inevitable path to crisis, right? And this was going to war, and everything we were doing is wrong. We heard that over and over again, like the little kid yelling in our ears, and we heard that for months, and that was nonsense. And
wait, are you saying there are critics out there who said that President Trump didn't know what he was doing?
Look, there are critics out there who find problems with this. I mean, it just poses on the irrational. And there's another network, and I don't want to,
let's not mention
them. So their initials are MSNBC. Basically saying, well, this is just wag the dog, right? So the president's just doing this to distract, must be distracting from something else. I mean, literally, they cannot let go of non-reality.
Right. So let's not focus on that. Let's focus on what is good that's happening tonight. Number one, 3 Americans are coming home.
Right.
And we should stop and forget about politics and just say, this is pretty awesome.
It is, but we should also remember what kind of regime we're dealing with. I mean, this is a regime that was willing to take human pawns, has no problem with doing that, and collects these, just like the Iranians.
And could do it tomorrow or next week or the week after.
And let's look, this is also very, very Reagan-esque. At the end of the day, the Iranians gave back the hostages because they thought in Ronald Reagan they had somebody they could not play with, right? And this was not a bargaining chip worth keeping.
So I mentioned the Iran nuclear deal a moment ago. And those critics that I was teasing a moment ago about last summer with the fire and fury remarks and the UN speech where the president talked about Little Rocket Man. And we heard the critics say, he's bringing us to the brink of nuclear war. And instead, we see the North Korean dictator giving up testing recently, giving up 3 Americans without conditions, at least in the early stages. We don't hear about any conditions, any money, anything like that changing hands. And oh, by the way, the dictator is headed to the negotiating table with the president. I get your skepticism. There's no Nobel Peace Prize, at least not yet. But the critics who last summer were saying that we were on the brink of nuclear war, we're not.
Well, first of all, one calamity we have to let go, right, is the argument, well, look, if he's going to do this to the Iranians, the North Koreans will never deal with him. Okay, that's just a laughable joke at this point, right? But here's what we're hearing for the North Koreans, because they actually do talk to people. One is they say, we don't know what Kim is going to do. This guy does not act like the last 2 guys in the sense that he doesn't consult with the formal foreign policy architecture, right? He does this on his own. So
Kim Jong-un or President Trump?
Kim Jong-un.
Because you could be describing President Trump. He does it on his own.
He doesn't. No, he actually talks to his people. But this guy actually makes his own decisions in his little inner circle, and the formal apparatus doesn't know what he's going to do. And so when they get pushed by their NGO contacts from around the world, they just shrug their shoulders.
Non-governmental organizations that they go break the regime.
We don't know. And the other thing they say is, this guy, being Kim, he's not bound by how things normally get done in North Korea. He is willing to do other stuff.
Let's just reset, because this is Ed Henry reporting live in Washington. You've been listening to Jim Carafano from the Heritage Foundation. You've also heard from Leland Vittert on the ground at Joint Base.